If aliens show up on your doorstep this Halloween, but they don't want candy, they want to know what is the definitive Dracula depiction in movie history. What do you tell them? We've got answers coming up next. This is Definitive Cinema on the OnStage Blog YouTube channel. We are the guys from OnStage Blog. My name is Greg Earhart. It's Chris Peterson, the founder of OnStage Blog, and Ken Jones, the on-screen blog chief film critic. Guys, welcome. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about on this week's episode, the definitive Dracula depiction in movie history. So we have a lot of choices to choose from. By my count, we have at least over 100 movies featuring Dracula in some fashion. These range from a true gothic horror movie to more modern, to like romance, even to comedy, satire, the range. So Chris, let me start with you. Just what's your favorite type of Dracula movie amongst those different genres? Like where would you go to when you're like, I want to put on a Dracula movie? Just like what genre? What genre do you want to go to?
Give me old school gothic horror. Every time. Don't give me the modern rock and roll Dracula. Don't give me the Dracula set in a city and that's the catch, so to speak. Give me that old school gothic, like 18th century, 19th century castles. If someone asked me what are my top like 2 or 3 fears in this world, gothic horror is one of my favorite genres. So yeah, give me the OG gothic horror style.
Yeah, Ken.
Yeah, I'm with Chris. Give me the classic like European vampire with the cape and the fangs and the wooden stake and all that jazz.
So I agree. And yet it's been quite a long time since we've had a real gothic horror movie starring Dracula. Maybe we're the minority. I don't know. But Ken, what talk about just what are your favorite aspects of a Dracula movie, or just about Dracula being depicted, whether it's gothic horror or some other kind of version of it we've seen, because we have seen good, effective versions of Dracula. That's not just the gothic horror.
Yeah, I mean, it's the presence of the character. Like he's menacing. He's malleable. Like you can put him in any kind of setting, but you want to have those. Like for me, like the traditional characteristics of what he can do, his powers, like the folklore behind the character, like that stuff. I feel is kind of important to the mythology and everything. So yeah, give me that stuff.
Chris?
Oh, that's a good question.
I can go back to you if you want.
Come back to me. Because I honestly I agree 100% with what Ken just said. I mean,
way too much agreement on this.
I'm trying to be deep here and be, but man, like I feel like that's an old school where it's like that answer was perfect. No,
For me, like as someone who really loves and appreciates good movie villains, Dracula is really up there just as a character, forgetting a specific depiction of it. Yeah. But he's got everything. He kind of really he's after usually one thing. He's cold, he's calculating, he's usually smart, he's practically invincible. Obviously there's a couple ways to kill him,
to kill.
Yeah, right, but he's really hard to beat. And it's a good, almost insurmountable villain to really get past. And he literally lives in the shadows, which is all good villains do. His scares are really good because some versions he can turn in and out of a bat at will. Other times, once he's the human form of it, he's always kind of lurking behind corners, behind the shadows, stuff like that. So he's just a really good and menacing, villain who he's really only after one thing. He wants to drink your blood. He wants to stay eternal. Chris, have you prepared your answer?
Yeah, I mean, and I appreciate the Dracula has dimensions to him. It's not just a bloodlust like the werewolf or the mummy or things like that. There are dimensions you can build on his motivations. Is what he's going through a curse that he's like my cross to bear, so to speak, or does he actually get pleasure
hopefully for him, not a cross.
Right, exactly.
Right. Right.
Or does he actually enjoy his life and things like that? And so you've seen really good Dracula depictions where it's like, it's almost like the anti-hero in a way where it's like, I can't believe I have to do this, but I have to do this. And then you have the lovelorn Draculas as well, especially in Bram Stoker Dracula and stuff like that. So again, you can build layers, and I like dimensions on dimensions when it comes to villains.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get to it. We teased at the open. If you're new to this video series, we're all about answering for aliens or anyone who has never seen, in this example, a Dracula movie before. They just want one movie that best depicts Dracula in the movies. They only get one. They only get one shot at this. And so they're asking us, they may ask you, the viewer, what is the one movie that you'd pick that would best typify Dracula on screen? And we're going to give our answers, but to show that we are not cheating and to prove that we have not discussed this beforehand, we're going to give our answers at the same time. And
we're also going to give it as the actor, not
correct.
The name of the title of the movie.
Did discuss that ahead of time.
Yes.
That we're right. We're going to give
yeah.
In this case, and again, definitive does not necessarily mean the best. It actually could mean the worst. If you want to watch our Las Vegas episode, one of our answers was arguably the worst movie that best represented Las Vegas. So it's not necessarily the best. Obviously, it couldn't be the worst, but it's the definitive, the one movie that best explains. All right, let's get to it. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Bela Lugosi.
All right, Ken, you said Bela Lugosi?
I did.
Okay, I said Bela Lugosi. Chris, I don't think you said Bela Lugosi.
I did not. I went with Frank Langella.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go to bat for my man Frank.
Well, you go to bat right now. Frank Langella, who famously he played just 2 movies, right? Frank Langella.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead. Why is Frank Langella the definitive Dracula?
Let me put it this way. No disrespect to Bela Lugosi. He's the OG. He really was the standard bearer. But when you take a look at, people that raised the bar, I talked earlier about dimensions and motivations on this character and adding complexities to what Dracula is all about without going way over the top on other areas. Langella strikes that balance. And if you've never seen 1979's Dracula, you're definitely missing out. It's a fantastic movie. It's arguably one of the best Dracula movies ever that actually takes itself seriously in a way that you should definitely see that. It's also a Broadway play. I've seen the play, not with Frank Gelo, obviously, but I've seen the play. And when that's done correctly, it's terrifying. So what I really like about his portrayal of Dracula is he's really getting all sides of that character and really bringing to life the burden, the scares, the charmingness. I mean, Frank Langella is not a historically thought of as a attractive leading man, so to speak, but he makes it work in Dracula. And you almost kind of forget that this is Frank Langella and in a way. And so that's why I went, because I really feel that he encompassed the entire character, brought out new nuances that we hadn't really seen before. And yeah, there you go. And lifted the torch from Mr. Lugosi.
Did I not promise you that you should come to me at your death and enjoy centuries of life and power over the bodies and souls of others?
Counter.
Oh God. Okay.
Shocker.
Can the definitive Dracula not have fangs? Has Frank Langella refused to wear fangs for his depiction?
Yes.
You can. Okay. Explain.
Yes. I can't remember what movie or television show I saw with vampires without fangs, Maybe it was Twilight. And
I
it was
think they had
fine.
fags.
And it was fine.
Really hammering home your case there.
So Twilight is your
Driving a
exhibit A.
stake
That's,
through the
that's
heart.
your supporting.
Look,
Driving a stake through the heart of his own case, Christopher Peters.
I mean, this movie, Frank Langella probably inspired the Twilight Fangless performances, so I'm fine with it.
Okay, all right. I have more to say about Frank Langella later, but Ken, talk about Bela Lugosi. Why is he or any of his movies would be? Why is Bela Lugosi the definitive Dracula for you?
Well, I mean, like Chris said, he's the OG. I mean, if you close your eyes and think of Dracula or describe him to somebody, I think most of the archetype of what you're going to see is what Bela Lugosi put on camera. You got the slick back hair, you got the cape, the accent. It's all there for the first time with Bela Lugosi. I think Frank Langella, Christopher Lee, Gary Oldman, like they've portrayed the character in their own unique ways. But I mean, the default look for Dracula for me always reverts back to what Bela Lugosi started with.
Yeah. For me, I went Bela Lugosi because Dracula fundamentally is a monster. And that should be, in my opinion, what people know him as on screen. And Bela Lugosi as Dracula looks like a monster. He talks like a monster. Just a classic, the Children of the Night line delivery. That's everything I want from a Dracula. And I'll say, like, that very first Dracula movie, man, it still holds up.
Yeah.
Not like a 2020 movie, but just in terms of everything it's doing, it's creepy.
It has an atmosphere.
So scary. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so atmospheric.
Yeah.
So brilliantly atmospheric. So that's why I think Bela Lugosi is the definitive, the one that showed aliens. So let's also talk about what's the best Dracula depiction.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Let's discuss what's your picks for the best Dracula depiction. If you want to pick a movie, fine. If you want to single out an actor, go ahead. Ken, best Dracula depiction is?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the kind of like the uncredited or unauthorized version of it in Nosferatu in 1922, the silent film. They didn't have the rights to the name Dracula, but they kept most of the story, changed some of the names, and created this very haunting creature that in Count Orlok, performed by Max Schreck. That's just this, unforgettable image, not just in like Dracula vampire lore, but it's a highly influential figure throughout like the history of horror films. And it's a foundational text for the horror genre. So my best is Nosferatu.
Chris, best?
I'm actually going to go with Gary Oldman in Bram Stoker's Dracula. The movie's not great. It's way too long. It could definitely use an editing job. But if you're looking for someone that is truly bringing out every dimension possible and doing it in a way that is scene still, he chews up every single moment that he's on screen in that movie. In my opinion, it's the best overall performance of that character. So
it's also the horniest portrayal of the character.
I mean, to the nth degree.
That's another category. But who is the horniest Dracula?
Like, I was nervous for Winona Ryder in that movie. I'm like, oh my god, like settle down, kids.
Right.
But anyway.
So I used my pick anyway, whether you picked him or not, but I have to give him some love. Christopher Lee, as the best Dracula. Again, not my favorite Dracula, but just in terms of talking like Dracula, especially being the debonair that Dracula can be in certain depictions, Christopher Lee just represents that to the T. I do think he was the best personified, also pretty gory in certain fashions. He could be a monster, in very certain set pieces, and did that very well. Worst, Chris, go ahead. Worst Dracula depiction.
So at first I tried to see if Eddie Murphy was Count Dracula in Vampire in Brooklyn, but he wasn't, so that doesn't count. Although that is a terrible movie. But my worst actually he's kind of following the same line. It's actually Leslie Nielsen in Dracula Dead and Living.
Oh,
yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Leslie Nielsen. Nobody, loves Police Squad more than me. But by the time you get to Dracula Dead and Loving It, it is just it's bad. It's a bad performance, even for parody comedy's sake. It's bad. Like no understanding of the character whatsoever. He's basically Frank Drebin in as Dracula, and it's not good.
Well, right. Is he trying to understand Dracula? I don't think that was the purpose of.
I think he starts with the accent and then gives up like halfway through the movie. It's a bad movie. Now Steven Weber in the movie is like Academy Award winning.
Oh, don't get Greg
Of
going on
course.
Steven Weber.
True story.
But-
I saw that
and-
movie opening weekend because Steven Weber is in that movie.
Of course you
he's
did.
an opener. Steven
And
Weber.
don't get me wrong, like Amy Asbeck, ninja hotness, throughout the '90s. But yeah, bad, not good, not great.
All right, Ken, worst Dracula.
Worst Dracula for me would be the Gerard Butler performance in Dracula 2000.
Good choice. He's on my short list. He's on my short list
just
as well.
this came out late 90s, and anytime from like 98 to 2000, if you had the number 2000 in the movie title, you were almost guaranteed to have a bad time. And this did not disappoint in that area.
I don't drink coffee.
It also it answers the question that no one was really asking, like, why does Dracula hate silver and Christian iconography so much? And the answer is because he's actually Judas Iscariot, you dum-dums, obviously. Yeah, Dracula 2000, not a good time.
Yeah, Dracula's young and dashing, and was he Irish or Scottish? What's Gerard Butler?
Who cares?
Whichever one. It's not
Also
exactly
played
Not
Yeah,
going with
yeah.
an Irish or Scottish accent, that's for sure.
Also was the Phantom of the Opera, so he played two classic monsters, so to speak, and did
Right.
terribly in both movies. So.
Aw. I still stand for Gerard Butler overall, and I can't wait till we do definitive Gerard Butler because I have takes on that.
Sure you do.
Right, my worst. I'm really surprised you didn't go with this guy because I think he's hands down the worst. Gonna go with Dominic Purcell in Blade Trinity.
That's a good one.
He's he goes by Drake for most of the movie, but then he's revealed that Drake is short for Dracula, and it's very trashy Dracula. He makes fun of his fellow vampires a lot. He's super jacked, like Triple H peak steroids jacked Dracula. And it is just a bizarre, almost insulting performance of the great universal horror monster that is Dracula. Really insulting.
My people. You're nothing but shadows of your former selves. Look how far you have fallen.
All right. Before we wrapped up this podcast, guys, who just tell me either past, present, or future, probably past or present, who would be on your wish list to play Dracula? Just who would you love to do like a traditional Dracula performance in? Ken?
I'll give you two names. One's a little older, Mads Mikkelsen, and number two,
yeah,
I'll go with Tom Hiddleston. So there you go.
Tom Hiddleston. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
Loki.
Yeah.
Two good picks.
Thank you. Yeah, Chris.
I'll give you two as well. One's a little older. My man Viggo Mortensen. Did you know wrong? I mean, he's already got the coolest name for Dracula.
He's Vigo.
Viggo. Like, come on now.
Yeah, Viggo
Younger.
Yeah.
I struggle with younger, but like at first I thought Jared Leto, but he would just.
Oh
screw
no,
up.
no, thank
Morbius?
you. No.
Yeah, and then I saw Morbius, and I completely forgot that he was terrible at that. But one name that popped up again, cool accent, young charismatic actor, Daniel Bru.
Bruhl?
He was Brule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love that.
Interesting. I would love to have seen Jeremy Irons do a Dracula. Probably a little bit younger. I don't think he can do it
he's
now,
like,
but
pretty
he's
up there now.
75. Yeah, he's 75. Would love to see like a 65-year-old Jeremy Irons take on it. I think it would have been fantastic. I feel like studios are calling Benedict Cumberbatch if they're doing like a
Yeah.
like if they're remaking Bela Lugosi Dracula, I feel like he's getting the first call, probably first star power, as well as Also, gotta say, since you brought up Nosferatu, Ken, like Vin Diesel, like as Nosferatu, I know they're Robert
No.
Eggers is doing
Why
Nosferatu movie.
why would you do that? Stop it.
'Cause I
He
feel
also
like
didn't
would
he also
talk
play a
perfectly.
vampire?
Vin Diesel?
Or not a vampire, but some kind of like
Oh no, he's the last. Wasn't he like the last vampire hunter or something like that? Like,
Yeah.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So like they wouldn't need much makeup for Diesel, so they could save some money on that. I don't know. That was just a little thought. Man, Robert Eggers must have considered it.
Yeah.
Maybe he wanted too much.
I'm
money,
sure he
you know?
did. Yes. Yeah. Just decided to go in a different direction.
Right.
Yeah.
So that wraps up this week's episode. If you enjoyed this content, please hit subscribe. We appreciate the follows. You can also check out all of our movie content on onstageblog.com/onscreenblog. And we also talk a lot of theater, which you can also check out on onstageblog.com. Follow us on Twitter @onscreenblog, as well as @onstageblog for theater, onscreenblogs for the movies. Also on Facebook. OnScreenBlog is on Facebook as well, same handle. And yeah, that wraps up. Anything you guys want to plug real quick?
No, just give us
Okay.
a like, give us a follow, hit that
5
subscribe button. do
5
all that
stars,
stuff.
5 stars, 5 stars.
All right, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.